Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Meet Your Masters of D&D. I have Zachary here. Do you go by Zach or Zachary?
Either one works.
Either one works? Okay, we'll go with Zach to shave it down real fast.
All right.
So, how long have you been a Dungeon Master for?
Been Dungeon Master since I was 12 years old, so about a decade now.
All right. Oh, wow. That's a lot. So, did you
Yeah.
start out as a Dungeon Master or did you start out as a player?
I started out as a player.
Okay, that's always good to know. Now, what edition you playing in right now?
Right now, I'm mainly playing 3.5 or Pathfinder, but I've also been playing in a 5th edition Shadowrun game.
For the Shadowrun? How is that,
Yeah.
anyways?
Sorry, what was that?
How is that, anyways? Is it I've never played the 5th edition Shadow or the Shadowrun versions.
It's pretty good. It's interesting. It's a little bit closer to being a classless system than the prior editions, so it's a little more easy to play what kind of character you want to.
All right, cool. So going down from so we got a profession. How do you like to have your players roll their stats? Do you like them rolling or do the point buy system if there's one?
I don't know. I was kind of raised with the rolling, but lately I've been getting into more point buy because it seems to be a little bit more fair. Because I've had players that will roll, almost straight 18s, and then I've had players that can't roll stats worth a damn. So it's point buy seems to even the playing field a bit.
Yeah. It's actually a really funny way of everyone. Like you have a point buy system, and then you have a roll based system, which either one could be really good or really bad depending on how well you want to make that. If you want to make him extremely strong, he's going to be really strong, but he's going to be really dumb. But the rolls actually come out really well sometimes too. There's different like systems. Was it like 66? There's 64, 46. Keep the top
Yeah,
three.
usually when we're rolling, we do like 46 best three, but re-roll ones and twos or something like that. Something. I guess more rules to the rolling to try and even it out.
Yeah, in case they all roll ones, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
you're 4 now.
Yeah, well, I had a player that literally could not roll like above a 12 for his stat, so he had to have somebody else roll for him.
Oh, jeez. I have a question. Did he die a lot in the campaign?
No, but during combat rolls, like any combat roll that requires a d20, he will rarely roll above a 5.
Oh,
So it's like
jeez.
rolling stats and d20s, he do not like him at all.
So
But he
go ahead.
oh,
No, go ahead.
he plays in the Shadowrun game, so anything to do with lots of d6s that isn't stat rolling, he seems to roll pretty well at.
So he almost has the Will Wheaton curse.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right. So, what's your take on homebrew versus the actual content of books have?
Well, it really depends because not all homebrew is the same. There's some that's really good, if not better, than some of the books. But a lot of the content in the books was at least like balanced against each other. So I don't know. It's kind of a toss up. Like if sometimes I'll allow homebrew in my games, but I have to look it over first and make sure that it's at least up to par with everyone else. I won't just allow anything for everyone.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. I mean, you don't want to have something broke in your system and be like, well, you shouldn't be able to do that. You're gonna kill everything.
Yep. And I've gotten a lot or very, very, I don't know, picky, I guess, because I've had players that have tried to sneak stuff by me. And now it's kind of gotten to the point where we have a bit of an understanding, me and my players, that if you manage to sneak something bad by me, I will use that against you. So it's better to be just out in the open with what you're trying to do.
Oh, definitely. But it's also fun when you get a chance to when they do sneak one by you and you're like, oh, I'm totally gonna use that. Have that ever happened to you so far? Or?
Yeah, but it was just with money. I guess he had custom magic items that could only be used with his class and his race.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go by the Dungeon Master's Guide, like limited magical equipment costs less. It costs like 20 or 30% less. So he used those rules in order to get magical weapon and armor that he wouldn't have been able to get with his wealth by level.
Really? Oh, crap.
Yeah.
So he broke the
Well,
system, basically.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's the problem. You're using stuff that's in the Dungeon Master's Guide to make a character. I said, I'll allow it this time because I did look over your character sheet once before without noticing it. But in the future, don't do that.
Oh yeah, no, that's a big player no. Don't go into the Dungeon Master Guide and start doing stuff like that. Like you can talk with your Dungeon Master about doing that, but don't do it on your own and try to like sneak that shit behind.
Exactly. Well, I think I ended up doing a bit of a cheap shot. They ended up getting captured and their magical equipment got taken away from them, which wasn't that much of an issue for the other players because they didn't have too much magical equipment. But with him, it was kind of a level. It kind of leveled the playing field.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't fuck with a DM, man.
Exactly.
So, what got you into being a dungeon master for D&D?
Well, honestly, after I got introduced to it and played a couple games, all of my friends wanted to play, but there was no dungeon master that either had the time or wanted to play with a bunch of 12-year-olds. So I just kind of started running it out of necessity.
So you guys basically stranger kids that shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So we already asked how long you've been playing. Have you played any other games other than D&D and Shadowrun, tabletop version wise?
I've played D20 Modern, but besides that, it's not. I've pretty much stuck to 3.5 lately.
Okay. See, I started on 3.5 and I run a 5th edition, so which
Yeah,
I like. I really do like it.
Yeah. I've been thinking about getting into 5th edition, but I just haven't really found anybody that's willing to play it or run it. So,
Well, if I ever have a chance to get a bunch of people, a bunch of these guys, a bunch of the DMs together, I might do a 5th edition campaign over Zoom, which will allow everyone to play from where they're at with like a D20 roll system.
oh, that could be fun. Then again, sometimes DMs are like the worst players I've found in my experience.
Most of them, but so far all you guys that I've interviewed so far actually seem like the one thing I get from most of them was you have to be a player before you can be a dungeon master, and I think it's a very, very highly thought after thing for anyone to say is don't be a dungeon master if you haven't been a player yet, so you know what to expect from players.
Exactly.
So, how do you now? Are you playing do you play in the same room with your players, or do you guys do it over online, or how do you guys do it?
Most of the time we do it in the same room. Occasionally we'll do something online, but it's just a lot easier with our schedules. We have like 1 or 2 days that we all have free, so we all just meet up then.
All right, cool. Now, how do you handle like metagaming at your table? Like, what players shouldn't know versus what their characters should know.
If I think that they're metagaming, I'll bring it to their attention saying, hey, I'm not quite sure your character would know that, or I'll ask them their reasoning as to why their character is acting this way. And if they can give me a legitimate reason as to why they're acting this way or why they would know what they're saying they know, then I'll let it slide. But most of my players are pretty good at that. The last time I had a character that was just metagaming horribly, we just kicked them out of the group after we figured it out.
But I guess you gave him a shot to like stop, right? Or usually.
Oh yeah, I gave him a shot to stop. That was one of the like random people that saw us gaming in the gaming store and asked if they could join, and those tend to not work out really. It seems.
When you're mixing like people you played with for a long time with brand new people, sometimes it's like you got to play a couple games to see if they're gonna get into it. But for the most part, if they're not able to follow like the basic rules of, I would say tabletop ethics is a big focus on a lot of players. Is if they're gonna follow those rules at the table, like hey, no metagaming, be courteous to the person next to you. This game is fun, but you have to be respectful to the DM and the other players. They're not gonna screw them over.
Exactly. And he had a problem where I'll admit one of the other players was being a bit of a jerk and trying to mess with that player behind his back, but he wasn't doing it in a metagaming way. And then in response to this, the guy was metagaming, trying to prevent what was happening. It's like, no, sometimes you just have to, bite the bullet and accept that something bad is going to happen to your character.
Oh yeah,
But
no, it's a lot of fun watching some of these players. Like the players I have, the guys that I play with are they're some of my good friends, and we just started playing. Oh, sorry. And a situation came up where they're in the middle of a fight. One guy gets the tongue wrapped around from a giant frog creature, and the other guy decides to grab his hand, use shock and grasp on the tongue. Well, it's gonna electrocute your friend. He's like, I'm doing it. And it was a situation like, well, would I have a chance to get away? Nope. But you have these situations where people are like, I'm gonna try something, and before I'll give a reaction time. Like, if it's like straight up like everything's going at once, everyone roll initiative. Whoever rolls first actually has a chance to do something prior to that person saying, well, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a fireball at the woods. So you get these special little players who like to throw random curveballs and try not to metagame their way through the game.
yeah.
Especially when you got some that are brand new DMs too. So it's...
Oh yeah, that's the first time I tried to run a game with my another group. It included the person that had been DMing for the last 2 games. And he just threw so many curveballs at me. I'm just like, all right, obviously I need to get a little more experience because I can't deal with this guy. So let's just reconvene at a later date.
Oh, definitely. And that's the downside sometimes when you play with other DMs is unless you find a good group of DMs who know how to be a player and like put the whole rule book aside, because if you have a DM that's going to be more powerful as a player who's going to be like, well, I'm going to use every rule I know to bypass this, then probably not a person who needs to be a player anymore. Just needs to DM and just that's what they like to do. That's what they need to do. They don't need to go ahead and try to be a player if they can't do the player aspect of it.
Exactly.
But again, being a DM, you have so much knowledge of the game. You're like, I know everything. I know we should be able to do that, even though the DM says, no, you can't.
Yeah, this was one of the DMs where, like, you could ask him how much sneak attack dice a rogue gets, and he would tell you what page and roughly what location on the page had that information.
Oh, so he knew the book from top to bottom, and
exactly.
I feel your pain so much. That's probably one of the most difficult things is trying to deal with that kind of. Well, I know this does this and this does this, so you got backseat DM. It would be considered backseat DMing at some point.
Yeah. Eventually, it just got to the point where I just started saying Rule 0 whenever he had a problem with me. Rule 0.
Now, what's Rule 0? I'm drawing a blank there.
Rule 0, I think it's actually in the 3.5 DMG, but basically Rule 0 is you're the DM, you make the rules.
That is true.
It says that in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Does it? Oh, does it really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive it does, but I might be mistaken. But I think in at least some edition, it says, like, the first words is, you're the DM, you make the rules.
The rules are more like a guideline anyways, if we want to get like, a lot of frank on it, because I know there's more a chance that I've had to fudge the rules and make characters a little more or less powerful than they should have been, especially with my monsters against my players.
Yeah, but sometimes, like, the most fun can be had when you don't fudge the rules. Like, the first combat in one of the games I ran, the group's mule ended up doing more damage to the goblins than they did.
Well, that's an epic mule.
Yes, the mule that was riding the cart. So I just, I rolled and the mule got hit once. So the mule decided to get angry and started hacking. And yep, the mule ended up taking out like one goblin by himself and half took out another goblin.
So would you say he was a badass?
Yes, he was a badass. I
Sorry, I had to
think
do
for
some
kicks
corny
and
joke
giggles,
there to make this a little bit more entertaining for me.
yeah, I think I gave him like a level in Barbarian after that, and he just became like a side character,
Oh,
just
that's
the Angry
awesome.
Mule.
Angry Mule. Oh wow, that actually sounds like an epic level character at one point. Like they're gonna have to fight that, and they're probably gonna lose to a mule.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
that's actually kind of cool. I mean,
just the most random things that happen sometimes.
and that's what makes D&D so much fun is just the randomness of every single thing that could possibly go on.
Yep.
So how would you handle secrets or other confrontations between characters? Like this character knows this about this character, but he doesn't know that he knows yet, kind of thing.
Oh, like honestly, as long as I'm aware of it, I don't really have much of a problem with it. I tend to generally ask the players not to be a dick, but if it's something that their character would do, then I just tend to allow it.
I mean, like the character, like if you gave the character's backstory had a secret about him, and that another character figured it out, and like they found out about it between each other, and they talked to you, and how would you handle the that aspect of it, like the way
I
that they
guess,
talk to each other?
well, if they want to talk to each other about that secret, either they can, step aside and just have a conversation off the side, or they can pass notes back and forth.
Mm-hmm. So another good one is how do you deal with a non-cooperative player, like someone who's intentionally not into it, but they're there because someone told them, "Hey, you should come," and they didn't really want to come, kind of thing.
If basically, I think at that point I would just kind of ask the other players if they're getting the same vibe from him, and then maybe just ask him why he's here playing if he doesn't want to, and feel free to leave if you want to. We're not going to hold it against you, especially if you're obviously not into the game. We really don't want you at the table.
Oh, definitely. So this is actually a question from the forum and all the forums that I'm on. What other hobbies, gaming interest, literature, music, so on influence how you DM your games?
That's definitely an interesting question. I don't know. I
Like
guess
what
sometimes.
from culture actually brings you into going, I want to put that into my games. That actually sounds like a cool idea.
Well, honestly, I'll get like inspiration from almost everywhere. Like I'll just get like maybe I'll see an idea in a book that I'm reading, and I'll take that and I'll modify it enough to where I can make it my own. But like so sometimes I just get like random ideas off the top of my head. Like I was reading about beholders, and I had this idea for a blind beholder, and then I was trying to think of, well, what would a blind beholder be doing? It's almost powerless if it can't use its eye beams, and just one thing leads to another. It's just, I don't know. I get ideas from everything, and I just try and change them enough to where it's not completely obvious where I stole them from.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Actually, if you really like the whole, like, I guess it's your favorite like monster or beholder.
Actually, I gotta say my favorite monster is probably a rust monster.
Oh, I hate you so much. I know
Oh, those are
exactly what.
evil.
Yeah, I know because it's like you can have some really cool stuff, and even the magic items are affected by it. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like a pissed off move.
Or rust monsters, or actually mimics are probably my favorite, because there has been a recurring character in not only my game but in games that 2 or 3 other DMs have run. Is just this mimic named Phil. Because if you look at it, mimics in 3.5 can speak common, and they even say that they will sometimes make deals for food, or just like give up treasure or give up information if they're fed. So this one mimic that started out in a game that I was playing in, named Phil, and ended up basically joining the party as another character, and he's popped up in like 5 or 6 other games run by me and another third DM. It's just sometimes, I guess, the oddest creatures can become the most interesting.
So the goal right now is for everyone who's DMing to put a mimic in your game called Phil, and see how many people we can get on here that actually have a Phil mimic in their game. And maybe we'll see it in Dungeons and Dragons someday. They'll be like, this is a new monster type called Phil. It's a mimic. It speaks common and wants to eat food.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, it'd be so great. I could see like just big old memes. Phil, mimic, feed me and I'll show you the world. But no, the new Volos guide for 5th edition actually has a whole thing on beholders, like their lair, everything from like different attacks, all this other stuff. It's like 5 or 6 pages of beholder. So it's like 40 or 60 different types of beholders you can make, which I'm pretty sure you could convert to 3.5 if you wanted to.
Yeah, I remember reading the Lords of Madness book in 3.5, and they have a lot of variants of, like, not variants of beholders, but like beholder kin, which is like kind of, yeah, it's beholder-like creatures that can work with beholders or against them. Yeah. So I got a lot of inspiration from that, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there, especially when you pull back from the old stuff. Like, I just heard they're redoing the D&D and Advanced D&D books in 5th edition now. Like, there's talk, I believe it was talk about making them into 5th edition books. Like, they're going to reprint them as 5th editions.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Like, old stuff like Tomb of Horrors and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. I'm still waiting for Forgotten Realms. That's where I'm going to be really happy. Once Forgotten Realms comes to 5th edition, I'll be really happy. Because it's nothing. Now, they're out there. It is out there. I think it is. But it's not the 5th edition. 3.5. So it would be the Underdark and stuff like that. The really cool campaign where you go underneath the city and just like it's just a mass of just dungeons. I want that in 5th edition. I really do. I would love to play that in 5th edition. I mean, someone's probably already converted it, but again, I would just like the book and say 5th edition on and go, I want to play this every day. Because you could play it every day. So how do you do more like RP style game, or is it more just like a hack and slash? Do you like your players doing RP or just like at least try to?
Yeah, I tend to do like a 50-50, but depending on the group, it kind of changes. You know, if the group I'm running ends up being more interested in fighting, then I'll add a little bit more fighting to the games. But most of the time, it's about pretty equal.
All right, cool. So I had a conversation with another dungeon master. He was dungeon master for about 30 years. He started out with when he was a kid too. So it's like kind of cool to see where a lot of what they started playing when they're young. But we got on the subject of riddles. Is there a riddle on in your arsenal of D&D stuff that you go to when you're like, I want to mess with my players, but I want to see how well they can think of a nice good riddle?
Well, there's something that I've used a couple different times that isn't really a riddle, but it's like a part of a dungeon. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit complicated or hard to explain, but it's basically what's known as a tesseract. It's a room that's kind of set up. It's got a hallway with 4 rooms one way. Never mind. I can't really explain this without drawing a diagram. But it's just this really confusing room or set of rooms with portals that double back on each other. And it's always interesting to see like how the players will react and how they will try and defeat it.
So it's basically like you go in one portal, you come out another, but the idea is try to find the right portal to go out, or do you have to go like through multiple ones before you can go through the right one?
I don't even have a plan with how they defeat it. I just wait and see what they try and come up with and just run with that.
Okay, so it's kind of like a build your own, I hope to God someone else figures this out kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. It's, well, let's see what they want to try and do, and, you know, if I think it's an interesting enough way, then sure.
Oh, nice. So the riddle he came up with, and I'll see if you can get this because by the time this episode air, I would already given this will actually be giving the answer away, and then we'll go up from there. I'll go ahead and choose the person who won on that. But his riddle was, "What's always flowing, but never stops."
A river.
No.
No, a river stops.
Mm-hmm.
Time.
There you go. Yeah. See, it got me for the first time. I was like, well, what is he? He goes, time. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. But yeah, so the answer is time. What is always flowing, but never stops? Time. So
I'm sure the chronomancer would beg to differ, but...
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have a real choice in this matter because it's just a riddle. But, yeah, no, I asked him, give me a good riddle, and there's a new thing out there called DungeonFog. It's a map building system for like D20 rolls, and I believe you can print them too. I'm gonna read more into it tonight and tomorrow, the next day. But it's a map building system for basically so you can print out maps or you can put them on your TV so you can watch your players can go through or play online against each other. But yeah, they made it really simple compared to the other stuff like Fantasy Ground and Roll20s mechanic stuff. It's like click, paste, turn. You can turn any ways, put shadows. But it's a lot more simple than the other stuff where you got draw a line, draw another line. Then you got color it in. Hopefully, you don't pass over the other side, get pissed off for a half hour, and throw it into the trash. Yeah, I've done that multiple times. I can't do it. It's like you have to have like a third degree mind, a third degree vision of what you want, and even then it won't turn out how you want it. So, but no, I'm gonna put a link down below. So if you guys want to check out the DungeonFog, you also follow them at DungeonFog on Twitter, and their Kickstarter started right. Oh, this will be like 3-4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, but they're I think they made the third goal, and by the time this airs, they'll probably meet their fourth and fifth goal. I'd have no doubt in my mind. But back to the fun questions. And no, don't do that. So I think we didn't go over this one, but we probably did. No, yeah, we definitely did. So how do you pick like what creatures you want your guys to fight? Like, stop, come on. There we go. Sorry. How do you pick which creatures you want your guys to fight in your campaigns?
I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on what the campaign, like what would be in the area. A lot of times, sometimes I'll literally just roll on the like random encounter generator, or sometimes it all just depends. Like a lot of times I'll create the world based on what the other characters want to play. Like somebody wanted to play a half dragon something or other, so dragons had a lot more prevalence in the world. So it all just kind of depends. Sometimes it's completely random, or sometimes it's based on what the players themselves want to play.
It's yeah, no, it's kind of hard, and it's the choices you make with your characters are the characters make, but also the choice that you make with the monsters you throw at them, that you're not doing too much damage or throwing them into a layer of dragons and really seeing if they'll float.
Yeah, I had one fight like that, but that, like, the thing with my players is they will one shot a minor boss, but spend 3 hours on a food fight. So I really don't know which one to, sometimes something that'll be really, really difficult, they'll one shot, and sometimes that'll be like way too easy for them. They'll almost die. Like the goblins almost one shotted the ranger character, and the mule had to save him. So
That's awesome. Oh, the best thing about D&D, and I've always seen this, and from all the talks I've had with every single Dungeon Master so far, is the stories of that one time my group almost died because they did something stupid, but at the same time, it was just gorgeous how they survived.
Yep.
I think one of the guys I talked to before this whole Meet Your Master of D&D kind of came together. His players actually, one of their players wasn't there, but he had the character with them, and it was a character. Well, he died during a fight, and one of the other characters who was like almost like in an evil alliance went ahead and just looted the body and threw the dead carcass in the woods and just walked off. They literally left him to die and they walked off. I was like, that is brutal, but so poetic.
But brutal.
Oh yeah, no, it was like I was like, how, what? No, but it was a player that doesn't play that often who comes in and out. So, but it's really fun to watch. Somehow, when people interact with the people they're playing with, and you're like, "Why would you do?" Okay, nope, you can do that. Nope, totally fine. Maybe you want to try to save them? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, they remind me. Not something that happened with my group, but a story that I kind of grew up hearing from my dad's group. That somebody was being a dick to another character, and they had an assassin in the group. And the person hired the assassin, the other player, to kill the guy that was being a jerk. And he waited, and all of a sudden everybody was paralyzed except for the assassin from like a ghoul attack. And he one by one dragged everybody outside, and he dragged the person he was hired to kill outside, said, "Sorry, this is just business," slit his throat and kicked him off the cliff.
Oh, that's
and then brought awesome. Everybody back out there. But then when they were about to give him the money for killing him, he said, no, that I did that one for free. And oh my God, the guy was so pissed off. It's like, well, you're being a dick to everyone. Why wouldn't I do it for free?
That's oh my God. See, and that's what makes D&D so much fun is you have stories from so long ago, from like old campaigns that still it's like they're like D&D myths almost. Like,
yep.
Like if I could do a whole like 2 hours of just awesome stories. Okay, autofocus is being a dick right now. Whole stories of just people of what the stories they heard and stories that were so incredibly that you're like, that can't be true, but then the people who said it, so you're like, yeah, no, that's true. So it's fun.
I just had one of those things on Sunday. The group managed to kill a Tarrasque with a Rod of Wonder.
Say what?
It did stone to flesh, and the Tarrasque, or flesh to stone, and the Tarrasque failed its save.
That sucks.
So it was fine because I honestly didn't know like how they were going to defeat it. Like it was basically it was this entire city that was built around the Tarrasque, harvesting the Tarrasque for meat and for other like alchemical ingredients, and the Tarrasque got free. So I figured they would either call in favors or just try and lead the Tarrasque away or something like that, but no, Rod of Wonder.
Now, for people out there who don't know, what is the Wand of Wonder? The Wand of Wonder.
The Rod of Wonder. It's the rod that whenever you use it, it does a completely random effect. There's like 3 different tables that you can roll on, and there can be crazy stuff such as the flesh to stone. It can make a gate to any of the different outer planes. It can cause a stream of butterflies to go out. It can cause the caster to turn green. It's just completely random effects.
So basically, it's kind of like a deck of many things.
Yeah. Oh man, the deck of many things. I have stories involving that thing too.
Well, let's go ahead and just do one. Like, try to think of your best one because I'll probably have you on for a round table with a bunch of other people and we'll have a deck of many things discussion.
Basically, I had an entire campaign that was based around the deck of many things and how it was tearing apart the world. And they didn't really catch on to that hint and just kept using and abusing the deck of many things and ended up becoming deities by the end of the game.
Oh, wow. That's kind of fun. I'd like to see that. That'd be kind of freaking neat.
Yeah, that was just like another one of those times where it's like they took the plot hook and they ran in the complete opposite direction with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the deck's like, it's so random at some points, but it's like you could have either the freaking Grim Reaper come after you, and if anybody tries to help him, another one spawns. to fight those people. And it's just so great because you're like, I hope to God you pull that card because that would just be so great. But
Yeah.
in my luck, my players would pick
Oh,
like
God.
every
Oh,
single
God.
one, like 26,000 experience. Now
All
you're
right.
level 17.
All right. I get just one more quick story about the deck of many things. Because me personally, I have had such bad luck with the deck of many things, but it's ridiculous. Okay, so the Queen of Clubs card is enmity of an outsider. So somebody out in the outer planes hates you. 26 times I've drawn from the deck of many things, and out of those 26 times, like 6 of them, other people were drawing for me. I have yet to draw a single card that was not the Queen of fucking Clubs.
Really? So this is as you as a player drawing cards, not the DM.
Yes, me as a player drawing cards, and I had somebody else draw for me, like 5 or 6 times, but I have yet to draw something other than the Queen of Clubs.
Sweet Lord, man. Someone just really doesn't like you in the outer planes.
Yeah, and this is over like multiple games with multiple DMs. It's anytime you want to draw, I'm going to draw, but under one condition. If I get the Queen of Clubs, it doesn't count. Why? Just please. Okay, fine. I draw the Queen of Clubs. See, I told you it doesn't count.
Well, see, that all you gotta be, you'd be a horrible magician's assistant because you just keep drawing the same card all the time. Actually, no, you'd be the perfect. Because like, well, I'm just gonna draw a random card. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is because you probably already know. It's the Queen of Clubs. Son of a bitch.
Yep.
That's almost like the Will Wheaton curse.
Yeah.
It's a deck of many things curse because either you're gonna get that one or you're gonna get the which one was it? The one that I would most fear would be the one that would turn your intelligence from like whatever you have to like a 1 or 2. So I think it's like feeble mind or something. So you become like feeble minded.
Oh, that would be horrible.
Oh god, it'd be so great too, especially if you had like someone who was like a smart ass and you're like, draw a card. Well, now you're dumb as shit. Enjoy.
Yep.
And he'll just sit there eating rocks for like 4 hours. And then you might just have an Old Yeller moment, just take him out to the pasture. No, not Old Yeller. It would be what's that movie? Oh, the guy was named George, and he had like his big guy who was unaccidentally.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the name of it either. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, everyone's probably gonna be like, "Oh, this." But no, I'm it would be one of those moments where you gotta kind of just take him out to the side pasture and just say, look out there. You see the place? You see it? They're dragging. We're slaying it, and then.
Yep.
Because that's the only way that player would ever survive in D&D. You would have to, or try to figure a way to reverse it. But 95% of the time, deck of many things are permanent.
Yeah, this is my pet barbarian, Bob. He's not too smart.
But he can sure kill things.
Yep.
Well, if you got a barbarian in the first place, his intelligence isn't going to be that high.
Yeah. Well, it's like, even if it was a wizard in the first place, now he's a barbarian.
Yeah, with very low stats.
Yeah.
He's not a very strong barbarian, but he has the intelligence of a barbarian.
Exactly.
So last one, and then I think that'll actually do it. Do you have any advice for any new dungeon masters that come to play or run a game? What's your advice to them? Like, what do you think they would need to know to run a good game?
Don't be afraid to improvise, because no plan that you have ever survives in contact with the party.
Oh, it's true. It's 100% true.
Yeah. I gotta say, probably like depending on the day, up to 75% of my game is improvising.
Which always, yeah, that's pretty much how mine went for a long time. It's literally, okay, hey, this is how it's gonna happen, and then 5 seconds later, like, well, it's gonna go this way because you all screwed me over big time.
Yeah. I basically just put out like the vaguest of outlines for how I want the game to go, and then I just keep improvising and keep adding stuff as the players go along.
Yeah, well, that's actually the best part about being DM, and the one skill I think any DM would need, and like you said, it's improvisation, is to understand the culture of what your players know, and hopefully be a step ahead of them, but also have not one, not two, not three, but 4 different ways they could go. So in case they decide to go through all 3, I go to the 4th one, you know exactly where they're gonna go. Have you ever read the book Lazy Dungeon Master?
No, I don't think so.
It's really good. It basically tells he talks about how to run a game. Basically being doing the Lazy Dungeon Master style, which basically in the subtext was you got about 5, 10, 15 minutes before your game starts. You actually start your camp. You figure out where they're gonna go, who they're gonna meet, what they need to do, and you go from there. Because by chances are they're gonna not go where you want them to go. So you gotta have a quick list of names, other stuff they have to do. So, but no, it's a good book. I'll be linking it in this description. I have the audio book of it from Audible, and I actually enjoy it quite a much because it's like he talks about all sorts of stuff like, hey, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. But he's like, this isn't for advanced. This is for more for like advanced D&Ders. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm good with that. I'll go ahead and just try to check it out and see what it's like. And I use that a lot for a lot of index cards and a lot of like short abbreviations of just like a name of a character, 3 names. What do they do? Who are they? Just basic information. So, is there anything else you want to add to this? Or,
No.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming out to another episode of Meet Your Masters of D&D. Thanks to Zach for coming out and being part of the show. Definitely, it's definitely good to see more players and more DMs that were players and became DMs. And,
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, but thank you again, Zach, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully you'll be able to come back on for another one. I know schedules are up there. You're a third shift guy, aren't you?
Yep.
Same here. It's fun. It's definitely unique of playing being third shift. So, but hopefully you get some sleep and no, actually you're probably just waking up. So, but
yeah.
thank you guys for coming out. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to see more of this, and I'll have a playlist of all the old episodes if you're just coming into this one, and hopefully you'll all see the new Monsters of D&D, which would be a Phil mimic. Now, quick question: are there any aspects of the Phil mimic? Like, it speaks common, it hungers for food, it will give information if it gets food.
Yeah, there's besides that, he's been different in just about every game. One game he had a British accent. One game it's just pretty much different every game. It's just he speaks common and he's hungry. That's about it.
Now, is it a chest or is it like a wardrobe or?
He's changed forms throughout all the games, but since a mimic can change its form, it's kind of like whatever you want him to be. As long as you feed him, he'll change into that form.
Okay, cool. So, again, if you feel that Phil the Mimic would be an awesome addition to your campaign, do have him join and let us know. Let me know. Hashtag Phil the Mimic. Let's see how many people we can get actually to make a mimic named Phil in their campaign. Depending on how many people watch this and how many people I can get to watch it. I mean, I would love to see a lot of Phil the Mimics and a lot of stuff like that. It'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it would.
I'm definitely gonna get my artist to make a Phil the Mimic for me, because I'll post that shit. I'll post it like a beast. Because she did my my dragon, which is the dragon with the bunny on top.
That'll be cool.
And I'm gonna see if I can get her to do a mimic one. It'd be kind of cool to see if she can do it. So thank you again, Zach, for coming out. Hope you have a good day, and you guys, I'll see you next time on Meet Your Masters of D&D.